When people imagine prisons, they often think of tall walls, steel bars, and strict routines. But in Alaska, some prisons are not only built for security, they're also shaped by extreme isolation and brutal weather conditions. Life inside Alaska's coldest and most isolated prison is unlike anywhere else in the world. Surrounded by vast wilderness, freezing temperatures, and long periods of darkness in winter, inmates and staff live in an environment where nature itself becomes an additional challenge. Daily life is highly controlled. Inmates follow strict schedules that include meals, limited recreation time, and work assignments. However, outdoor movement is often restricted due to dangerous weather conditions such as blizzards and subzero temperatures. Even simple tasks become difficult when the cold can freeze skin in minutes. Isolation is another defining feature. Many prisons in Alaska are located far from major cities, making visits from family rare and expensive. Communication with the outside world is limited, which can increase feelings of loneliness and psychological stress among inmates. For correctional officers, the environment is equally demanding. They must maintain security while also dealing with extreme weather, limited staffing, and long shifts in remote locations. The job requires not only discipline, but also resilience. Despite these hardships, prison systems in Alaska also focus on rehabilitation programs such as education, vocational training, and counseling. These programs aim to prepare inmates for reintegration into society, even in one of the most challenging environments in the United States. Life inside such a prison is a constant balance between punishment, survival, and the hope of reform, all under one of the harshest climates on Earth. One of the most defining challenges of life inside Alaska's coldest and most isolated prison is the extreme climate conditions that dominate everyday existence. In many parts of Alaska, winter temperatures regularly drop far below freezing, often reaching levels where exposed skin can suffer frostbite within minutes. This kind of cold is not just uncomfortable, it is physically dangerous and shapes nearly every aspect of prison operations and inmate life. Buildings must be heavily insulated and constantly heated, yet even inside facilities, the biting cold can seep through walls and corridors, making movement between areas a harsh experience. Outdoor spaces, when accessible, become nearly unusable for long periods due to snow accumulation, icy surfaces, and strong winds that reduce visibility and increase the risk of injury. Routine activities that might seem simple elsewhere, such as walking to a different unit, transporting supplies, or conducting security checks, require additional precautions, specialized clothing, and constant awareness of weather changes. The cold also affects infrastructure itself, with pipes freezing, machinery struggling to operate efficiently, and transportation routes becoming unreliable. For inmates, this environment limits physical activity and increases confinement indoors for extended periods, while for staff it demands continuous adaptation, endurance, and vigilance to ensure safety and order are maintained despite conditions that remain unforgiving throughout much of the year. Another major factor that shapes life inside Alaska's coldest and most isolated prison is its extreme geographic isolation. Many correctional facilities in Alaska are located deep within remote regions, surrounded by vast stretches of wilderness, mountains, forests, and frozen terrain that separate them from major population centers by hundreds of miles. This isolation is not just physical distance on a map. It creates a sense of separation that affects almost every part of prison life, from logistics to human connection. Transportation to and from these facilities is often limited to specific roads that can be blocked by heavy snowfall, ice storms, or seasonal weather changes, and in some cases, access may depend on air transport when ground routes become unsafe or unusable. This makes the movement of supplies, staff rotations, and emergency services more complex and time-consuming compared to prisons in more accessible regions. Because of this remoteness, inmates experience a significant disconnect from their families and communities. Visits require long travel times, expensive arrangements, and careful planning, which means that many prisoners may only rarely see their loved ones in person. This distance can create a strong psychological burden, as human contact becomes limited not only by prison regulations, but also by geography itself. Even communication systems such as phone calls or written correspondence, while available, cannot fully replace the presence of face-to-face interaction. For prison operations, isolation also means that resources must be carefully managed. Staff shortages can be harder to address quickly because bringing in replacement personnel is not as simple as in urban facilities. Specialized services, medical support, and maintenance teams may need to be flown or transported over long distances, which adds delays and complexity to even routine issues. The surrounding environment further intensifies this isolation, as the landscape itself, long stretches of empty land, limited infrastructure, and extreme weather conditions, reinforces the feeling that the facility exists far removed from the rest of society. One of the most emotionally challenging aspects of life inside Alaska's coldest and most isolated prison is the severe limitation placed on family contact. In many facilities located within Alaska, maintaining regular in-person visits is extremely difficult due to the vast distances separating prisons from major towns and cities. Families often live hundreds or even thousands of miles away, and reaching these remote correctional institutions requires long and costly journeys involving multiple modes of transportation such as flights, long drives through icy roads, and sometimes overnight stays in nearby towns just to complete a single visit. For many families, these expenses and logistical challenges make frequent visitation nearly impossible, resulting in long gaps between personal meetings. Inside the prison environment, this limited contact can significantly affect inmates' emotional well-being. Human connection plays a vital role in maintaining mental stability, and the absence of regular face-to-face interaction with loved ones can lead to feelings of loneliness, detachment, and emotional strain. Even when phone calls or written letters are permitted, they cannot fully replace the comfort and reassurance that comes from physical presence and direct communication. The emotional distance can feel even greater during important family events such as birthdays, holidays, or milestones, when inmates are unable to participate in meaningful shared experiences. For families on the outside, the situation is equally difficult. Loved ones must plan carefully, often months in advance, to arrange visits that depend heavily on weather conditions and prison schedules. Harsh winters in Alaska can cause sudden travel disruptions, cancellations, or delays, making it uncertain whether planned visits will actually take place. This unpredictability adds stress and emotional disappointment for both inmates and families, as even well-prepared arrangements may fall apart due to circumstances beyond anyone's control. Prison administrations attempt to bridge this gap through structured visitation policies, video calls where available, and regulated communication systems, but the underlying challenge of geographic separation remains a persistent barrier that shapes the emotional reality of incarceration in such remote environments inside the cold and isolated correctional facilities of Alaska. One of the most important systems that keeps prison life stable is the strict daily routine that governs every movement and activity of inmates. Life in such an environment is not left to chance or personal choice. Instead, it is carefully structured through fixed schedules that dictate when inmates wake up, eat meals, move between areas, work, and return to their cells. This level of control is necessary not only for maintaining discipline but also for ensuring safety in a setting where extreme weather conditions and geographic isolation already create additional risks and challenges. The day typically begins early, with controlled wake-up procedures carried out by correctional staff. Inmates are required to follow immediate instructions, as any delay or disorder could disrupt the entire facility's schedule. Meal times are also strictly regulated, with food served at specific hours and under supervision to prevent conflicts or security issues. Between these fixed points in the day, inmates may be assigned to work programs, cleaning duties, educational classes, or rehabilitation activities, all of which are scheduled in advance and monitored closely by staff. Movement within the facility is highly restricted and often conducted in groups under supervision. Even simple transitions, such as moving from a cell block to a workshop or recreation area, require authorization and coordination. This is especially important in prisons located in harsh environments where any disruption in order could quickly escalate into a safety concern. The cold conditions of Alaska add another layer of urgency, as delays or confusion during movement between buildings can expose individuals to dangerous temperatures. Recreation time, when available, is limited and carefully supervised. Outdoor activities may be restricted for long periods due to snow, ice, or freezing winds, meaning inmates often spend extended hours indoors under controlled conditions. Even in indoor spaces, rules remain strict, with specific guidelines on behavior, interaction, and timing. Lights-out schedules at night are enforced consistently, ensuring that the entire facility operates on a synchronized cycle that reduces unpredictability and maintains security throughout all hours of the day. One of the most significant limitations faced by inmates inside correctional facilities in Alaska is the severe restriction on outdoor activity, which is heavily influenced by the extreme and unpredictable weather conditions. In many parts of Alaska, winter dominates a large portion of the year, bringing heavy snowfall, icy surfaces, strong winds, and temperatures that can fall far below freezing. These conditions make outdoor movement not only uncomfortable but potentially life-threatening, which forces prison authorities to carefully regulate or completely restrict access to outdoor spaces for extended periods. In normal prison environments, outdoor yards are often used for exercise, recreation, and mental relief from confinement. However, in Alaska's harsh climate, these same spaces can become unsafe due to thick layers of snow, hidden ice patches, and freezing winds that reduce visibility and increase the risk of slips, falls, and frostbite. Even brief exposure to such conditions can be dangerous without proper gear, and even with protective clothing, prolonged outdoor time is often not feasible. As a result, outdoor yard access is frequently suspended during winter storms or extreme cold alerts, sometimes lasting days or even weeks at a time. This restriction significantly reduces opportunities for physical exercise, which is an important part of maintaining both physical and mental health in prison environments. Inmates may be limited to small indoor areas where movement is constrained, reducing the variety and intensity of physical activity they can engage in. Over time, this lack of outdoor exposure can contribute to feelings of restlessness, frustration, and confinement, as the natural relief that comes from open-air environments is rarely available. For prison staff, managing outdoor access becomes a constant decision-making process based on weather forecasts and safety assessments. Every outdoor activity must be carefully evaluated for risk, and even routine tasks such as transporting inmates between buildings or allowing supervised yard time requires strict timing and coordination. The infrastructure itself, including fences, walkways, and exercise yards, must be continuously maintained to remove snow buildup and reduce ice hazards, which adds to operational challenges throughout the year. One of the most profound and complex issues faced within correctional facilities in Alaska is the psychological impact caused by a combination of extreme isolation, harsh climate, and long-term confinement. Unlike prisons in more urban or temperate regions, where external stimulation and social interaction may be more frequent, inmates in these remote facilities often experience an environment where both physical surroundings and social contact are severely limited. This creates conditions that can significantly affect mental well-being over time. The constant sense of isolation is one of the strongest psychological stressors. Being located far from major cities, surrounded by vast wilderness, and cut off from regular family interaction can lead inmates to feel disconnected from the outside world. This feeling is often intensified by the long winters, where darkness and freezing temperatures dominate daily life. Extended periods spent indoors due to weather restrictions can make time feel slower and more repetitive, which can contribute to emotional fatigue and a sense of stagnation. Another contributing factor is the lack of environmental variety. In many cases, the scenery outside remains unchanged for months: snow-covered landscapes, icy grounds, and gray skies, offering little visual stimulation. This monotony can affect mood and motivation, leading to feelings of boredom, restlessness, or emotional withdrawal. When combined with the structured and restrictive nature of prison life, these conditions can increase stress levels and reduce opportunities for healthy mental breaks. Social interaction within the facility is also controlled and limited, which can add to psychological strain. While inmates do interact with each other and with correctional staff, these interactions occur within strict rules and supervision, leaving little room for natural or spontaneous social connection. Over time, this can contribute to feelings of emotional suppression or difficulty in expressing oneself openly. In some cases, inmates may struggle with anxiety, depression, or heightened irritability due to the lack of personal space and emotional support. The extreme cold itself also plays an indirect psychological role. Constant awareness of harsh weather conditions, limited outdoor access, and the physical discomfort associated with cold environments can influence mood and mental resilience. Even basic daily experiences are shaped by environmental stress, reinforcing a sense of confinement that goes beyond physical walls. Working as a correctional officer or support staff inside prison facilities in Alaska comes with a unique set of challenges that go far beyond the responsibilities found in many other correctional systems. The combination of extreme weather, geographic isolation, and limited resources creates an environment where daily duties become physically demanding, mentally exhausting, and often unpredictable. Staff members are required to maintain strict security and order while simultaneously navigating one of the harshest climates in the world. One of the most immediate difficulties is exposure to extreme cold. During long winter months, temperatures can drop to dangerous levels, making even short periods outdoors risky without proper protection. Officers often have to move between buildings, supervise inmate transfers, inspect outdoor areas, or respond to emergencies in conditions where frostbite and hypothermia are real concerns. Heavy protective clothing is necessary, but it can also restrict movement and make physical tasks more tiring. Snow, ice, and strong winds further complicate mobility, turning routine patrols and checks into slow and careful operations. The remote location of these facilities adds another layer of difficulty. In many cases, prisons are far removed from urban centers, meaning that staffing shortages cannot be easily resolved. If an officer becomes unavailable due to illness, weather delays, or emergencies, replacements may not be able to arrive quickly. This often results in longer shifts, increased overtime, and a heavier workload for existing staff members. The limited availability of nearby medical facilities, emergency services, and specialized support also increases pressure on prison staff, who may need to handle a wide range of situations with minimal external assistance. Inside the facility, the demands of maintaining security are constant. Staff must remain alert at all times, monitoring inmate behavior, enforcing rules, and responding quickly to any signs of conflict or disruption. The strict daily routine of the prison requires careful coordination, and any mistake or delay can have serious consequences in such a controlled environment. This high level of responsibility, combined with long hours and limited rest, contributes to significant mental and physical fatigue over time. Communication and support systems can also be limited due to isolation. Staff members often work in smaller teams compared to urban prisons, meaning each individual carries a larger share of responsibility. The lack of nearby external resources means that problem-solving often falls directly on on-site personnel, requiring quick judgment and strong decision-making skills under pressure. Over time, the combination of environmental hardship, workload intensity, and emotional stress makes the role of correctional staff in Alaska's prison system one of the most demanding in the correctional field. Despite the extreme conditions and isolation inside correctional facilities in Alaska, one of the central goals of the prison system is to provide rehabilitation opportunities that help inmates prepare for life after release. Even in environments defined by harsh winters, remote locations, and strict security measures, structured programs are implemented to encourage personal development, skill building, and behavioral improvement. These efforts are designed to reduce the chances of reoffending by equipping inmates with practical tools that can support successful reintegration into society. Educational programs play an important role in this process. Inmates may be given access to basic literacy classes, high school equivalency preparation, and sometimes even higher-level academic courses, depending on the facility's resources. These classes are usually conducted in controlled indoor environments under supervision, ensuring that learning continues even when outdoor movement is restricted due to weather. For many inmates, education becomes a way to develop discipline and focus, while also opening opportunities that may not have been available to them before incarceration. Vocational training is another key component of rehabilitation efforts. Inmates are often trained in practical skills such as carpentry, maintenance work, food services, or other technical trades that can be useful after release. These programs are structured to simulate real-world job environments as closely as possible within the prison setting. The goal is to help individuals develop employable skills that can increase their chances of finding stable work once they re-enter society, which is especially important in remote regions where job opportunities may already be limited. Counseling and behavioral programs are also included as part of rehabilitation. These may focus on substance abuse treatment, anger management, or cognitive behavioral therapy aimed at addressing underlying issues that contributed to criminal behavior. Mental health support is particularly important in isolated environments where emotional stress and confinement can intensify personal struggles. Trained professionals work with inmates to encourage accountability, emotional regulation, and healthier decision-making patterns. In addition to structured programs, prisons may also encourage responsibility through work assignments within the facility. These tasks help maintain daily operations while also giving inmates a sense of purpose and routine. Over time, participation in these activities is intended to build discipline, cooperation, and work ethic, all of which are essential for reintegration. Even within the limitations of geography, climate, and security in Alaska, rehabilitation remains a continuous focus aimed at preparing individuals for eventual return to society.